One of this week's Philosia questions that I hadn't had an opportunity to respond to yet was, what does it feel like to be a father? And it's been a couple of days now. I've been able to think about the question, and really, it's still difficult for me to articulate. This photograph is about 16 years old. This is me and my daughter Justine. She's on her first bike, learning to ride with her training wheels, and I'm on my toes, ready to catch her if she falls. And I think this photograph alone says a lot about what it means to be a father. You know, you're part of it is you're there for them as they're doing their learning, as they're doing their growing, and you got to let them do that. But you should also be, as I am here, you're an audience to that. You're sometimes a teacher, but you can't overstep your bounds. You got to let them do their own learning. You can't learn. I couldn't learn Justine to ride a bike by my doing it, or by my trying to force it. She had to learn it herself, and you got to be there just to catch them. You got to be there to enjoy their life. And for me, I've always enjoyed Justine's life. Justine is my only child. We did have a unborn son who had to be aborted in an emergency procedure because the pregnancy was ectopic. But in any case, I feel very blessed to have known Justine, and I feel like Justine and I have kind of grown up together. It's different being a parent than being a sibling, but it's still that close. It's family, and you are growing together. So having to be a parent, you have to learn new things yourself and try to do the best job you can for them, being their friend, being engaged in their life, being their family, being their role models, and being their teachers, being their confidants, being the person that they can fall on if they need help. This is Justine today. She's 20 years old. In fact, this picture I just took maybe a couple of days ago. And Justine has been living with the guy, Desmond. It's more or less my son-in-law for a few years now. They don't have their own place, but they go back and forth between my house and Desmond's parents' house, and hopefully eventually here they'll get their own place, get an apartment, start their own thing. But they got very close during high school and have been with each other the whole while since, and I'm really happy for the both of them having found each other. One of the things about being a father for a daughter is that you are the role model of what it is to be a man and to be a husband and this kind of thing. And, it's similar I think, for being a father to a son, because you're also role modeling manhood to him. But in a daughter's case, it's even more crucial because whatever that model is maybe what she's going to be looking for, partially at least, in a life mate of her own. And I think, without necessarily having to try very hard, I showed Justine um, a good example. She did see some bad habits here and there. She saw I was human and that kind of thing. I didn't ever try to hide anything from her. But she also saw, what it is to be, um, she would never go with a man who was violent, for instance. I never raised a finger to Justine in her life, nor did her mom. And as a result, she doesn't have a mean bone in her body. I've never known her to ever even have lashed out at anybody verbally. Nonetheless, physically, emotionally, um, socially, she's really got a good head on her shoulders. But she's very shy of strangers. And so sometimes I worry about her, how she's gonna, get along in the world in terms of employment, which she hasn't really been able to find or keep a job yet. Desmond, her, more or less her husband, has been supporting her. So I worry about that, but at the same time I don't. I know, I've been with Justine her whole life, and watch her grow, and sometimes things that we worry about, that we think, maybe they're, getting behind or something, and they're just not developing the way that they're supposed to. Things eventually fall into place. And for me, when I think about being a father, some of the best memories, I think, of being what a father is like what's going on in this picture. Is just being in total joy in the moment with your child. And like I said, Justine and I did a lot of growing up together. I was pretty young raising her, and we had a lot of fun. There came a time when she was maybe like 14 years old, when it wasn't cool to hug on to daddy anymore and that kind of thing. But prior to that, she was a real daddy's girl. And we'd have a lot of fun. We'd dance and sing. And because she was a single child, both Adrian and I, we were able to show her a lot of attention. And really, it was like she grew up with adult relationships the whole while. And so I think that is to her benefit as well. But yeah, for me, being a dad, like I said, it's very hard for me to articulate what it feels like. But it's, what does it feel like to have a mom or a brother or sister? It's family. And more than that, it's a little person that, is dependent on you. And, you just love them so much. And so, I'm very grateful for this experience with Justine, having her in my life. And I'm looking forward to grandchildren eventually here, and maybe what experiences of growth is going to come through that. It's going to be sooner than I think. Pretty sure. So yeah, that's about as best as I can lay it out. What it feels like for me. It's good to be a dad.